Okay, go ahead and you can start.
Not a problem. I was just going to say that my 5 o'clock shadow starts at 5 a.m. So, all right. So, let's get started first by addressing something really quick. If I could kind of pull this up on my end, let me see if I can. Give me 1 second. Maybe not. Give me 1 second. This is what happens when I have windows that do not always open properly. Nope, I don't have access to it on my end. That's fine. All right. What I was going to do was that FAQ number 2. All right, as far as the questions regarding the Windows pickup services and the grab and go. If everyone did get a chance to look at it, the description that I have in English is exactly what you're giving to them in Spanish. Was there any discrepancy? I just want to get feedback from all of you because you're the ones who are on the front line as far as providing those materials for pickup or for distribution. So again, if anybody has anything that they want to add to that I can make a correction, I will make sure that I can do that, take my notes, and then, but I think I tried to be concise because obviously that's what we want to do is we want to be direct and concise when sharing that type of information with the patrons, especially our Spanish speaker in the libraries. Okay. So I know some of you may have access to it. Some of you may have seen it. Again, just want to take this minute or two. Anyone have any questions regarding those examples there? And another question that came up was someone wanted to go into the conjugation of common verbs being used. I'll be honest with you, that's something that's going to require more than 1 hour session because it's grammar and it's practice. And that's something that if you did want to do, I would be willing to work on that on an individual basis with all of you, but we can discuss that set up outside of this. If you feel that that's beneficial to you, again, I will give that information to pass along as far as my contact through Jen, all right? But other than that, what we're going to do is we're going to jump now into the slide deck. And there were 2 slide decks that I provided you. One was for communicating with your patrons. That's the one we're going to focus on. The second one is for all of you that you can personalize, which is basically an overview of your library for those who've never been there. And I think some of you could appreciate the fact that you can personalize this, right? You can add your specific library or media center name and start including pictures of your staff, your administrator, and you can replace those pictures of the actual areas as well, okay? As far as your fiction, your nonfiction, your children's library, your media centers, periodicals, and so on, okay? All right, so let's get into our communicating, all right? And there are a couple other things. Remind me before we do end, there are 2 things I also wanted to share with you which are not necessarily part of this, just something, as I call it, supplementary. Okay, here we go. So everybody can see communicating with your library patrons, which we call comunicando con sus usuarios. Remember, your usuarios are going to be your patrons, okay, that come and use the facilities and the services. Let me show you, as we go through this, I've set this up so it can somewhat be a little more easy to navigate, all right? And it may not seem like that at first, but I'll show you how to kind of get around so you kind of almost loop back to certain places, all right? So the first thing I want everybody to remember is that hand gestures can be universal, specifically when someone is speaking to you and you need them to repeat again and slow down, okay? The word repita and más despacio go hand in hand. Repita, más despacio, por favor, right? The hand gestures like this, all right? It's not offensive. You're not doing anything outside of making the person aware that you would like them to please pay attention and repeat what they're saying and slow down. So repita más despacio, por favor. So I've included those gestures in there for you, right? Repeat that more slowly. To confirm with a patron, anytime you do have an interaction, the phrase, the gesture is comprende, comprende. Okay, you're making eye contact definitely in this situation. Comprende, okay? You understand? It's from the verb comprender, which means to understand, to comprehend. You want to make sure you're clicking with them, okay? That they're not unsure. Okay, comprende? And you kind of use that little gesture. Okay. All right, so here go the greetings. Always want to start with a greeting, right? We don't want to make people feel uncomfortable right off the bat by being cold, callous, or anything like that. So the phrase is bienvenido with a smile, right? Bienvenido or bienvenida for our female guests. Bienvenidos for groups in general. Now, again, bienvenidos is masculine, but it also includes a mixed group, right? So you have 2 or more people and it's male, female, or mostly female, 1 male in there. Is bienvenidos for the group y bienvenidas for all female. Bienvenido o bienvenida, bienvenidos, bienvenidas a la biblioteca. Okay, bienvenido a la biblioteca. I'm just going to use that general term. Welcome to the library. Okay. The next statement is a question. ¿Cómo le puedo ayudar? Now, the first one, ¿cómo le puedo ayudar? Is for your individual person, regardless of gender. ¿Cómo le puedo ayudar? Notice that in Spanish, our questions kind of almost have a little sing-songy thing to them, right? They kind of rise and fall. ¿Cómo le puedo ayudar? How may I help you? Or how may I help all of you if it's ¿cómo les puedo ayudar? ¿Cómo les puedo ayudar? How can I help you? And now, of course, once you've committed to that, you're going to get that response back. And this is where we're going to get into that in the next section, okay? Another question that you may pose to them is, ¿necesita ayuda? ¿Necesita ayuda? Now, if you don't remember necesita at all, just remember the next word, help. Ayuda, okay? And again, use your hand. Ayuda, extend the hand. Ayuda, necesita ayuda, or necesitan if it's a group. Necesitan ayuda. Do you need help? And again, how may I help you? ¿Cómo les puedo ayudar? Ayudar is the verb form, to help. Ayuda is the noun, help. Okay? And once you've gotten through the understanding of what it is that they may need help with, and you need to take them someplace. Again, this was a great question from someone. Let me show you, or let me show all of you where that is or where those things are. Okay? So this is a little more involved, and it sounds like this. Déjeme mostrarle dónde está or dónde están. Again, if you're talking to one person, déjeme mostrarle. Demostrarle is to demonstrate. Really here we're saying to show. Déjeme mostrarle. Let me show you. ¿Dónde está or dónde están if it's more than one thing, where those things are. Déjenme is for the group. Déjenme mostrarles dónde están. Déjenme mostrarles dónde están. Let me show you, let me take you there to where you're looking for those things, okay, where those things are, okay? All right, so let's try the greeting all together, okay? You don't have to open your microphones, but again, bienvenido or bienvenida a la biblioteca. Again, always with the smile, right? You want to make that first impression. There you go, Jason. I'm looking at Jason, and he's showing me a very good smile. I would feel welcome there. Same thing, Diane, okay? Bienvenido o bienvenida. ¿Cómo le puedo ayudar? Again, show some concern. ¿Cómo le puedo ayudar? Again, you're just talking to the one individual, but less is when you're addressing the group. ¿Cómo le puedo ayudar? Necesita ayuda. Necesita ayuda. Or just simply ayuda, help, ayuda. And finally, déjeme mostrarle dónde está or dónde están when it's more than one thing. Déjeme mostrarle dónde están. You might want to put the hand out to gesture that you're going to show them or guide them to where they're at, okay? Those things make a big difference, okay? Because gestures are, in many cases, universal, okay? And it helps people feel like, again, you're involving them and you're connecting with them. Okay? Any questions so far? Preguntas, okay? I'm just, again, drop them in the chat for me if need be.
No questions have come through so far.
Excelente. Muy bien. Excelente. All right, continuemos. Let's continue. All right, here is where I've created it for you to kind of go through specifically because these are going to be your most common questions. This is how they start. The first one always deals with location, and it's the question, ¿Dónde está? ¿Dónde está? Where is or where are if it's more than one? ¿Dónde están? ¿Dónde están? Remember, the question ¿dónde is where? ¿Dónde está? Okay? Now, here's how I've made this slide deck for all of you as you're saying, ¿Dónde está? ¿Dónde está? ¿Qué? What? ¿Dónde está? And if you click here, it's going to take you to the following. ¿Dónde está? Notice how I've included it on the top, right? So you have that little guide there. ¿Dónde está? For example, here's a common one. ¿Dónde está la biblioteca de niños? Where's the children's library? ¿Dónde está la biblioteca de niños? Okay. ¿Dónde está la biblioteca de niños? If you have a separate media center, ¿dónde está la mediateca? ¿Dónde está la mediateca? You might even hear them say, ¿Dónde están las computadoras, right? Because your computers will more than likely be where? In your media center, am I correct? Am I making a correct assumption? Okay. ¿Dónde están las computadoras? But ¿dónde está la mediateca? That may be a word that may not or may not be used by some of your patrons. ¿Dónde está el mostrador de circulación o de información? Where's your circulation or your information counter or your desk? Okay. Mostrador means a counter. Again, some of you may have a desk. We used to just always call it the counter. Okay. ¿Dónde está? The next one. ¿Dónde está el baño de hombres, the men's? ¿Dónde está el baño de mujeres? Where's the women's bathroom? ¿Dónde está? Now, you also may hear, ¿Dónde están los baños? That's just the plural form of bathroom, los baños. Pero ¿dónde están los baños? Is no different than ¿Dónde está el baño? Except it's asking for the bathrooms. Okay. ¿Dónde está la fuente de agua? La fuente de agua. Where is the water fountain? ¿Dónde está la salida? Where's the exit? This is important because if you remember anything, salida, in the event of, God forbid, an emergency and you need people to exit the facilities, you can point and remember salida, salida, point to the nearest exit and get them out that way. Salida, point. Now, there's two ways you can go here for this next one. If no one's asking you about a section or a zona, then you can go right up here and click on this one here where it'll take you to the locations of the library, okay? Just want to show you this. So, ¿Dónde está? Okay? This would be your response, okay? So you've been asked where something is and you want to take them there. ¿Dónde está? Your response will be, está aquí, está allí. Again, there's where you can use your fingers or your hands to point. Está aquí, está allí. Now, in a situation where your, say, bathroom, el baño, right? Because that's a common question you always get. ¿Dónde está el baño? If the bathroom is nowhere near your area and you have to give directions, here we go, okay? We've put here some of the directions you may need. So, el baño está, or you could say está, al lado de el ascensor. It's near the elevator. I don't know, you may have that situation, see? Está al lado de El baño de mujeres. It's next to the women's bathroom. Está cerca de, okay, or excuse me, it could be near. Está cerca de las escaleras, right, which are the stairs, okay? And then you can point them in the direction, right? Está or están, depending on whether it is or they are. Now, notice I've included too, he or she, because let's say someone is looking for a person, correct? ¿Dónde está la señora Farrell? Okay, ¿dónde está? You've given them your name, correct? ¿Dónde está la señora Farrell? Okay, está allí. She's there. Okay, está detrás de el mostrador de información, behind the information counter. Okay. Okay. Now, I want everyone, please, taking a look. There's a lot of information here, but again, pause for a second, and I'm going to ask you to give me an instruction or an explanation as far as where a specific area may be in your specific facility, okay? So I'm going to try to go down the line just to see if you can piece together some of the locations. So if I come up to you, for example, let's get started. Let me close this up. Something just popped up on my end. Let's start first. Jason, do you mind? Someone comes up to you and you greet them. Bienvenidos. ¿Cómo le puedo ayudar? The question is, señor, ¿dónde está el baño de hombres? ¿O dónde está el baño in general?
Cigarretto después a la izquierda.
Okay, so let me interpret this so I get it right. You want me to go straight and then it's on my left, correct?
Yes.
Is that where your bathroom would be? Excelente. Muy bien. You did a good job there, Jason. Gracias. Okay, Bob. Okay, hold on one second. Bob, ¿dónde está el ascensor? Again, I'm assuming you have an elevator in your facility. And if not, we'll make it las escaleras, the stairs. Okay. Bob, ¿dónde está el ascensor?
Let's see.
So you want to start with está, right?
I'm trying to think of where it is. I'm new here.
That's okay. I want you to think about this because this is what you need to do. All right.
Tome las escaleras ascensor.
So wait, you're telling me you need to take stairs to get to your elevator at your facility? Because that's how I'm interpreting it. That's okay. That's okay. We're gonna breathe. Nice deep breath. Where in English?
El ascensor es al lado de el baños, los baños.
De los baños. Okay. Now, here's the question that might come back to you, right? ¿Dónde está el baño?
Sígame.
Sígame. Oh, good. If you have the opportunity to lead them there, that'd be great. But Bob, now let's imagine, and everyone else, let's imagine you can't leave your area, right? You're the only person there. You can't leave the area, and you want to give them direction. Where would you direct them to the bathrooms? That way they have an idea, at least now, where that elevator is. ¿Dónde están los baños? ¿O dónde está el baño?
Cigarretto y a la derecha.
A la derecha. So you're telling me go straight and it's to my right.
Sí.
Excelente. So with giving me that, now I would probably be able to find that elevator to go wherever I need to go, correct? Muy bien, Bob. Okay. All right, I'm going to pause for just a second because now what happens when it's not a bathroom or it's not a stairwell or it's not a specific, set of elevators, right? What if it's a section in your library and that section happens to be on a different level, correct? Where you can't tell them go straight, make a left or a right, and that's the end of that, okay? I want to go over just a couple of things here. You've already seen here, el ascensor is the elevator. Tome el ascensor al would be take the elevator to a specific floor or level. The floors and levels would be el nivel sótano. And I highlighted this in red because nivel might be more appropriate because some of you may refer to your different floors as levels, correct? And then some of you may call your levels floors, okay? So we have el nivel or el piso. Piso goes after the ordinal number. El nivel primer or primer nivel. Segundo, tercer piso o tercer nivel or nivel tercero, okay? On the basement level would be your, I'm going to say what, your basement floor, right? El nivel sótano. So that word would be abajo. Okay, someone had asked that before, abajo, downstairs. You can point down if need be. But you say, tome el ascensor al nivel sótano, to the basement. Or tome las escaleras, take the stairs. They're going to walk, okay? Now, why am I doing this? Because this next part right here that I'm going to introduce to you are your sections or your places in your building that you're going to need to direct them to, okay? And there's two ways to go here. See over here, I have section in place. When you click on this one, watch what's going to happen. So someone asks you, ¿dónde está la sección o la zona de ficción? Okay. Está en. Okay. Let's go over some of these. Okay. These are your different sections and your genres. Okay. I introduced some of these last week, but let's take a look at them. A lot of them don't need explanation, right? Take a look because they're cognates. The ones that are not so self-explanatory, you're going to notice I did put the English there. And those would be the following. Okay. La sección de éxitos en ventas. That's your best sellers. Some libraries, believe it or not, I have seen just kind of go for broke and they don't even translate it. You know what they put? Bestseller. Increíble. All right. So there's no direct translation. They just put sección de bestsellers. If that works for you, I'm sure people will get it. But this is literally what it is. Éxito en ventas. Okay. Bestseller. Libros de bolsillo would be your paperbacks. Okay. Your paperbacks. Literally, it's a book that fits in your pocket. Okay. Not a pocketbook. Okay. That's a different thing. But a libro de bolsillo is your paperback edition. Manual, manual or handbook, I had to throw that one in. And then you may have books or materials that are what we either call segundo idioma, right, second language, or foreign language, idioma extranjero. The key I want everyone focusing on here is that the word idioma, you might think of the word idiom, right? Idioma is the language. Segundo idioma is second language. Idioma extranjero is your foreign language, right? You can't use all three at the same time, just so you know, because it would sound really weird. Second foreign language, okay? Maybe, but it's segundo idioma, second language, or idioma extranjero. Viaje is travel. Okay. Autoayuda is your self-help books. Publicaciones periodicales, or periódicas, excuse me, is periodical. And I think everything else should be pretty, you know, self-explanatory. Again, ficción y no ficción will end up being probably your two biggest ones, correct? Fiction and nonfiction, and the rest are just genres that fall under there. Okay? I'm trying to think right now. All right, so ficción, no ficción. We have any questions? I just noticed something popped up in the chat. I just want to see.
We do. Perfect timing.
Yeah. Okay.
So someone says, we call our section world languages.
Okay.
How do I say that?
Okay. World languages would be idiomas mundiales. All right, I'll type it in there for you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another question. Assuming books in Spanish would just be los libros de español.
Those would be Spanish books, but if you're talking about books that have been translated into Spanish, is that what you're meaning at? You're kind of, Jason, is that what you're trying to figure out? So let's.
So all of our books for adults that are in Spanish are in one section. That in that section is then just kind of broken up into fiction and nonfiction. So if somebody's looking just for the books that are in the Spanish language section, would that be that, or would there be a different term for that?
So I would change that to be typing it in for you so you could see. Los libros en español. Okay, they're in Spanish, because if you say libros de español, those are like Spanish books, and I'm assuming textbooks. Okay, like for example, I teach Spanish, and my kids all know here, el libro de español. Okay, this is el libro de español. Libros en español are books in Spanish, all right? And that could include books that have been translated, okay?
Thank you.
That's why I say too, segundo idioma, your second language books too, those can kind of fall into that category as well, right? Because they've been translated into a different language, but you're safe if you use libros en español. I'm gonna get to that. Okay, muy bien.
And there's another, and I apologize if I missed this. How would you say like follow me, or I'll show you where it is, or?
That phrase was just used earlier. I believe it was by Bob, right? Bob said, sígueme.
Thank you.
Okay. Or if it is, hold on 1 second. Just want to make sure I'm putting the right accent so you're pronouncing it correctly. The first one is for individual, and the next one is for a group. Sígueme or síganme. Follow me. Okay, and you can do this. Everyone knows this, right? Sígueme. Síganme. Follow me if it's the group.
How is that different from déjeme mostrarles?
Oh, déjeme mostrarles. There you're going, let me show you. All right?
Okay.
There you're just telling them you're going to show them something. Síganme now is the command to follow me. Okay? Sígueme or síganme. Follow me to the one individual person, or síganme to the group. Okay? Excellent question. Okay, the copy machine, la copiadora. Okay, I put that right up above you. Now, most people will also remember, you know how we used to say the Xerox instead of the copy machine? Most people will remember that too. ¿Dónde está el Xerox? ¿Dónde está el Xerox? And of course, you can use whatever brand you want. The printing machine is la imprimidora. Okay. Now, by the way, excuse me, I've included some of the verb forms of these in that deck for your media center, because I'm sure that's also where you'll have copy machines, printers. Okay. So imprimir is to print, copiar is to copy. And I'm going to get to that in just a second. All right. All right. Preguntas. Any further questions? Okay, because I do want to jump back to something we were just doing. All right, to kind of put you in another frame of mind. All right. So we've practiced with a couple of you giving directions, right? And you're picking from the list to show them and guide them to where things are. Let's click back on sections and genres here, and it should be taking you back here. Okay. All right. Now, by the way, if I click on location here, it takes me right back to where I need to be, right? So, ¿dónde está? ¿Dónde está la zona de? Okay. está, and you give them the direction. ¿Dónde está? Está al lado de, right? In case you want to tell them where it's next to. Está al lado de la zona de ficción. It's next to fiction. All right. They might ask you, ¿dónde está ficción? Right now, you got to guide them to where that's at. So you say, sigue recto, if you tell them go straight, or está a la izquierda, it's to the left, está a la derecha, okay? If you need, again, to guide them to these locations via stairwell or via elevator, remember, está arriba, upstairs, or está abajo. And let me go back over here. Let me see if I can get into the chat. I will drop that in there. Arriba, excuse me. Arriba, upstairs, abajo. Okay. Está arriba, upstairs. Use your finger. This will help you remember. I always tell my students, and they're much younger than most of us, using hand gestures, right? Kind of helps make a connection. Arriba, abajo. Okay, arriba, abajo. Okay. Now, let's see how many of you remember the following. Okay. Remember I told you to put your hand on the side of your head? Side of your cheek, and you're going to say al lado de, next to, right? Next to. Hand on your forehead, delante de, delante de. Now you could also remember the phrase enfrente, like in front of, okay? In front of, and frente, because in Spanish, this part of your head is called la frente, all right? La frente, but delante de, in front of, is also used. Put your hand on the back of your head. Detrás de. Detrás de, behind. Let's try that one more time. Here we go. Ready? Al lado de. Delante de. O enfrente de. Detrás de. So, al lado, delante, detrás de. Al lado, delante, detrás de. Okay, and they all end with de, right? Because you're going to say where they are in proximity to something else. All right. Cerca de, think of the Latin circa, right? Close to, around, near, right? Cerca. If you mispronounce it, it's okay. People will understand you. Cerca de. If you say circa de, you're not too far off the beaten path. Near, okay? Está cerca de la zona de ficción. Okay, está cerca de las escaleras. It's near the stairs. Okay? All right. So we've focused at this point on just answering the question where something or some things are, correct? Now, what happens when they need something? Or they're asking, do you have something that they may want or need? Let's go back at this point to the following. Okay, I'm going to click on location and it takes me back here. Now, señores y señoritas, ladies and gentlemen, now, where are certain items? Okay, or do you have, are there certain items? Here now, these are in green, right? Things that they want or they need, necesito. Because you may ask them, ¿cómo le puedo ayudar? How can I help you? And they may say, ¿hay libros para niños? Are there books for children? ¿Tiene libros de historia? Do you have books on history? Necesito un lápiz. I need a pencil, right? They may need something that they need to write with. Or quiero una aplicación. I want an application para tarjeta de biblioteca, right? This is a big question, right? Some people want a library card. And this can get very time consuming. Let me see if I can help you walk through it, okay? So any of these questions, is there or are there? Tiene or tienen, do you have one thing or more than one thing? Or the demand, necesito, right? I need. Quiero, I want. And while all of this is going on, if they're just rambling stuff off to you, look what I've included right down here. I should have highlighted this too, but remember, repita más despacio, por favor. Okay, so you can get that. Repita más despacio, por favor. Okay, any one of these appears. Let's go here to items and info. Okay, again, I've included at the top. These are our media, our ID, and forms, and our services that we may be able to provide them. Let's take a look at the first one. Tiene un lápiz, that's usually the one. Do you have? Tiene un lápiz, or necesito un lápiz. I need one, okay? Necesito un lápiz. Quiero un lápiz, okay? I need or I want. All right. Un lápiz is a pencil, okay? Put a smile on your face. Un lápiz. Just make sure you get it back, right? Necesito papel. Okay, necesito papel. Papel? I know it's an index card, but paper. Papel. Muchas gracias, they'll probably tell you. Necesito un bolígrafo o una pluma. I want you to know that in Spanish, we have two ways of saying pen, right? Un bolígrafo or una pluma. One's masculine, one's feminine. They're the same thing. Un bolígrafo o una pluma. Hay un bolígrafo o una pluma. Do you have, right? Is there? Tiene. Because remember, the questions might not come as questions. They may come as demands, okay? All right? I want, I need. And I know sometimes we may be in one of those situations where right now certain things are going on. There's many, as I say, we have many pots on the burners, right? And here's the one person that's demanding something, and we just don't want to be rude, but we want to address them. So, necesito un lápiz. Necesito una aplicación, right? Repita más despacio. And then they should hopefully repeat slowly, and you can help them out. All right, libros are books. Revistas, periódicos, medios digitales. Now, medios you may be able to remember even easier because it's media, okay? Media and digital media. And that's become a big thing over the last couple of decades, right? A lot of the books and resources we've had now have all been converted into digital media. So, medios digitales, okay? And notice, if you need to know them for the sections, this part right here, I want to show everybody, if you click on this, will take you to those genres and sections again, okay? And then you can come right back, all right? Okay. So, books, magazines, newspapers, digital media. All right, this was a big question that was posed by a few. An application for a library card or a registration application for a program or service you may be offering, okay? Tiene una aplicación para una tarjeta de biblioteca. Do you have an application for a library card? And this is going to have a second part to it, which we will address very shortly, okay? Because you're going to need ID, correct? And I know the big question is for a lot of your patrons, they're very hesitant, specifically because they think that if they give you something, you know, they're going to be in trouble, all right? It's out of fear, all right? So we can allay some of that, all right? And una aplicación de registración, it's a registration application para un programa, right? A program, un servicio, a service, okay? What if you need to tell them the following? Necesito una forma de identificación. I need a form of ID, okay? That could be you as well, correct? Necesito una forma de identificación, all right? This was a great question that was also posed by one of your colleagues. They need information off the library card if they already possess it. And most of the library cards, I know mine for RCLS has a barcode, correct? All right. That is called el código de barras. El código de barras. Kind of roll that R there, okay? El código de barras, the barcode, en su tarjeta, on your card. Okay, what if the request is, tiene un libro que se llama o sobre? What's the difference between these two? Tiene un libro que se llama Harry Potter y, no sé, I'm trying to think right now. Y la Orden del Fénix. You'll be like, uh-oh, I heard Harry Potter. Okay, repita más despacio. Tiene un libro que se llama Harry Potter y la Orden del Fénix. Ah, sí. Okay, and you can guide them where they need to go. Okay, está en la sección de ficción en la biblioteca de adolescentes, right? In the adolescent section. But it also might be in the adult section too, all right, correct? Might be in the regular section. It all depends on how you've cataloged it. Pero un libro que se llama, what's the name of that book? Something that's called. If it's on a topic, they may say un libro sobre la Segunda Guerra Mundial. I know that sounds like a lot, right? I'll repeat it. Repito. La Segunda Guerra Mundial. World War II, Second World War. Okay? Un libro sobre. And you may lead them to other books on that topic if they are there for them, okay? Okay, preguntas. I'm going to stop right here at this point. Notice how, again, everything that's across the very top could be used with any one of these, right? I, is there or are there? Tiene, do you have? Or necesito, I need. Quiero, I want.
Yes, there is a question.
Go ahead.
What would you say photo ID?
So you would say again, what's the form? Una forma de identificación con foto. Con foto. Now, please note one thing, right? Remember when we were going over our alphabet in the very first section, I said there's certain words that don't have the blend, the PH, so we represent that with one letter. So because we, remember the H is silent, so we use the F for the place of PH. The same is for something like this. If someone is looking for a book on farmacia, right? Pharmacy, okay? Or pharmaceuticals, you may get this. Oops, I misspelled it. It's farmacéutico. Farmacéutico. Gracias, Jen. Thank you. Okay. I got one more to cover. That's the two down below and that other one about information on programs and services. Please note that up top, someone had asked about making copies and possibly printing stuff out. So now that I've given you the name for a copier and a printer, you may hear someone request of you, right? Necesito or demand. Necesito usar la computadora. That's why the asterisk is there, because these will go together. Necesito usar la computadora. O necesito imprimir. I need to use the computer or I need to print. And to make copies. Quiero hacer copias. I want to make copies. Quiero hacer copias. To make copies. Right. Ah, muy bien. Ah, sí. Faxear would be to fax. And as far as returning the book drop, Some of you may have bins, correct? And some of you may have boxes, or you may have them just drop them off at a specific location. So we say, that is your book return box or your bin. Cajón, it's a box, right? El cajón de devueltas de libros. Devuelta means the return. Now you could also, if you like, you could also post a sign which would instruct them where to drop it off, and it would look somewhat similar. Except you wouldn't necessarily use the word bin or box. Return books here, okay? Devolver libros aquí. Devolver libros aquí. Now again, I don't know, again, what each one of your, I just realized something. Again, this is my dyslexia over the last few years. The word for book return, I misspelled it. So I want to correct it. That's the correct one. Devueltas de libros. I put devueltas, and that's not correct. Okay, devueltas de libros, book return. Okay. Anything else? No, de nada, Nancy, de nada. Okay, one more thing here. That last part at the bottom, información. We have already seen that word several times, right? But sobre, again, related to or about programas o servicios sociales. I know that a lot of you in your libraries work in unison with several agencies in the community, correct? And some of them may be social services. So they might come to the library in certain instances to ask for that information. If you could provide it for them, that's what they would be looking for. Servicios sociales or social service. Programas are programs in general, okay? And I do believe I gave a list in the first FAQ sheet, right, of the names of several programs. Some of you may offer, correct? All right. Whether they're book clubs, whether they are, you know, crafts and art and different types of activities and services that you may have either in person, maybe not now, but had in person or online, okay, virtually. Preguntas before I move on, because now I'm going to show you a little something. And I want to focus specifically on the fact that you've been asked for or you are asking for certain information, right? For example, una aplicación, an application. And you're asking for, as some of you wanted, una forma de identificación con foto. Okay, everybody ready? I want you, all you got to do on this one now is just click the slide. Okay. Here's what you want from your patrons, everyone. You want info and support, right? So here's some of the things you definitely want. Por favor, describir el título o el nombre de. Let's say it's a book, right? And you don't understand them, okay? They said, you have a book. Do you have a book that's called this or about this? Here's where you let them know. Por favor, de escribir. And you can do this, right? El título o el nombre de el libro, right? The book. O del medio, of the media. All right? I've also included afterwards the following. If you're telling them not necessarily to write the name of or the title of a book, all right? You might want their name on an application, but llenar is to fill out. Llenar, por favor de llenar la aplicación. Firmar, again, you do this like you're writing. Firmar, to sign. And there's our word devolver, right? Which we saw not too long ago about returning. Okay? Por favor de devolver la aplicación, la registración. Notice I also want everybody to remember you're always going to be cordial. You're always going to be professional. We're always going to include por favor, please, right? We're not demanding things of people. We're always going to say, please, por favor de, and in this case, escribir, right? Llenar, firmar, devolver, to return something, algo, right? The next one here, the next bullet point, someone had asked about possibly leaving a name and a contact number, right? So someone who is better versed can get back to them. You may have situations where at that moment, there's not much you can do for the person, correct? Here is the phrase, okay? And you're welcome to write or, use this at any point in time. Por favor, deje su nombre y número de teléfono para que alguien hispanohablante le llame. I'll repeat that again. Por favor, deje su nombre y número de teléfono para que alguien hispanohablante le llame. I know that for some of your patrons, they may be hesitant, right? But by letting them know that someone who's a Spanish speaker is going to call them back, if that's a possibility, it may make them feel a little more at ease. Also, if you are busy, okay, and that's hardly ever happens in your line of work, right? I'm saying that very facetiously. If you're busy and you need to tell someone, please, give me a second, give me a moment. Un momento, por favor. Un momento, por favor. Okay? And you don't have to be rude about it. It's okay to put the hand up. You're not telling them to talk to the hand, but to gesture. Un momento, por favor. If you cannot provide them something they are looking for and you don't have an answer to it, or the answer that you give them may not be sufficient, it's not what they want to hear, what else can you do but other than say, I'm sorry? And that phrase is lo siento. Lo siento. Lo siento. Now, I'm just checking to make sure I have time. Okay, we have about maybe 5-6 minutes. It's necessary. Es necesario. When it comes to things like ID, okay, they may tell you, no, 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 no. Then the only thing you tell them is, lo siento, es necesario. I'm sorry, but it is necessary, right? Lo siento, es necesario. Right? You got to drive that home without being, rude or condescending, but certain things are required, and that's by law, and you know that. So, okay, lo siento, es necesario. All right, finally, we get to gracias or de nada, right? When you're being thanked and you want to say you're welcome. Okay. All right, I'm coming back here because I'm just saying this is where we started off with, right? Following any one of these to try to get your answer. Now, before I move forward, does anyone have any questions regarding the navigation with this, right? Again, I'd like you to keep this handy and I want you to maybe practice setting up scenarios for yourselves, okay? Whether it's they need to know where a location is, or do you have the following items, or where are certain items and sections in your facility, okay? Preguntas? Okay, muy bien, gracias. Oh, let me close this out. All right. From here, if you click on, Now I want to get to your questions with parents with children. And again, these are all tied in. ¿Cuántos años tiene su niño o niña? ¿Cuántos años tiene su niño o niña? How old is your child, male or female, right? ¿Cuántos años tiene su niño o niña? ¿Qué temas le interesa? What topic or topics, right? Now, tema by itself or temas, what topics interest you, him or her, because le could be either one of those three. If you're talking to some child or you're talking to the parent about he or she, okay? They all work, le. Le gusta leer, okay? Le gusta hacer, what does she like? When you say le gusta hacer, he or she likes to, you're kind of leaving that open-ended, right? Le gusta hacer, okay? You're going like this. And they might tell you, oh, le gusta dibujar, draw, right? Arte, deportes, right? Sports. Hay otras actividades, deportes o cosas que le gusta hacer. That's another longer way of asking. Other activities, sports, or things they like to do. And again, here's an important one because for many of them, this may be their first time and they'd like to take books out. ¿Tiene o necesita una tarjeta de biblioteca? Do you, does he, does she have, has, or needs a library card? I know it sounds like a lot, right? But tiene, do you, does he or she have, has, or necesita, need or needs a library? And this last one I thought is also an important question. ¿Cuántos libros desea? That's a question which can be how many books would you like? Or how many books would the child like? ¿Cuántos libros desea? Okay, and I think this is more along the lines for those of you that work within your children's section, right? Your children's library. Okay. Okay, great question. How would you say you may have a certain number of items, okay? Okay, so you would say there it is, there is or there are. There's a limit of materials to lend, okay, or to take out. Or hay un límite de números de materiales. That one's a little more directly in we're saying that there's a number limit, correct? The first one might be interpreted as there's a limit as to the materials you can take out because there are certain reference materials, no problem. Gracias. There may be a limit to certain materials you allow your patrons to take out, correct? Certain reference materials may not leave the building. Right? Certain types of media may not leave the building, okay? So the first one would be a limit to the materials themselves, and then that second one is a number of items for materials that can be loaned, okay? De nada, Nancy, gracias. Okay, any questions so far on this? Again, this is stuff that you can start looking at yourself. I do want to start wrapping up with this. This is important too. I don't think this is the least of things either. Your opening and closing of the day, okay? Someone asks you, right? Points like this, they may say, ¿Cuándo abren? When do you open? You can let them know. You can actually post this in the front, right? In Spanish, abrimos a las 10, abrimos a las 11. We open at 10 or 11. Okay, I think that's about the time frame most of your libraries open, correct? 10, 11 o'clock. All right, and here's a nice one. You're gonna love this one. I think I may have made your days a little easier here. It's the end of the day and you're closing, right? This is when you do have people there. Cerramos en 20 minutos, okay? Or 15 minutos. Now you're shortening it, right? 20 minutes, 15 minutes, and you remember the word pronto, right? Hurry up, soon. Cerramos pronto. We're closing soon. Yeah. Por favor de traer sus cosas al mostrador para tomar prestado o devolver. A lot of words there, right? Por favor de traer sus cosas al mostrador, right? To bring your items to the counter, to check out or to return. All right. Let's see. Curbside service. Okay, servicio en la acera. I believe I included that, Jason, in the second FAQ. All right, I believe that was sent out. Okay, that's called servicios en la acera, right? Literally, curbside service. Some of you may have window pickup, all right? You have a pickup window. That is called servicio de ventanilla. Okay, small window. All right, that's in there. I did cover that. I know that was a question that one of your colleagues had. And that is basically it, señores y señoritas, all right? I wish I had more time to get through any questions you may have, but I do want to say this, and Jen, I cannot say enough. Jen, thank you for giving me the opportunity to work with your colleagues, with everyone that attended. Hopefully you did get something of value out of this. That's my expectation. And Jen, I'm going to allow you to share my contact email. If there is anybody that wishes to reach out to me, you maybe want to extend something outside, and we can coordinate on that. But there are two things I do want to share with you, like I said before the end. All right, let me stop this. It's two things, actually. The first thing is there is a terrific resource book that I came across. This is it. It's called A Bilingual Dictionary of School Terminology, and I think it would also apply for all of your situations, okay? If you can get your hands on this, or if somehow your library can acquire it, it's a great resource. It is by Amy Enterprises, and it is in English and Spanish. It is broken down by sections, which include telephone communications, as well as communication with students, parents, and that could also be your patrons as well, depending on the situation. Okay. The other thing is this, and again, I know we're pressed for time, but I wanted to share with you one last thing, which is the following. There's a great little book that is a series in English that includes all sorts of different jobs, and one of them is one you would definitely appreciate, which is this one. Okay. This is by a company called Bumba Books. And it says, "Long live the librarians." It's a short little book for children in Spanish, which talks about a lot of the things that librarians do in their everyday work, okay? It's pretty well written. It has a small glossary, a dictionary in the back, and plenty of pictures, okay? And I think it gives all of you 2 thumbs up and a lot of credit. This also is in a series of books that deal with essential workers, nurses, doctors, firemen, policemen, EMTs, cooks, teachers, okay? So again, I don't get anything from the company for sharing this, but I did come across this in preparation to make sure that I was kind of in the ballpark, because again, I am not a media services person or a librarian. I am a teacher, so I do interact with our librarian here on occasion. So again, gracias, thank you. That's just something I wanted to share with you. It's a series by Bumba Books by Tessa Keenan, all right? Any questions anyone has before we say adios? I want to say gracias again to Jen for making this possible. Y gracias a ustedes por participar. I think you all got that, right? Gracias a ustedes por participar. Thank you for participating. okay? Oh, 1 second, I'm getting, looks like a cavalcade. Gracias, gracias, no problem. Gracias a ustedes. Thank you, everybody. You made me feel very good, okay? And Jen, again, thank you. Gracias.
Yes, thank you. Gracias.
All right.
And I will be sending out this recording to everyone. I'll also be sending out an online evaluation form, but I got to say, Fabricio, I mean, you came to me recommended by one of our librarians. So, you know, thank you. I thought these sessions were of great value. And so I appreciate that. And in fact, these sessions occurred because we heard from library staff that they wanted to learn the Spanish language and how to reach out to their communities. And so, you know, anyone on the call, if you have any further thoughts or ideas for continuing ed, certainly open to that. But I thought these sessions were just wonderful. So thank you. I appreciate it.
And please, one last thing, Jen, is please remember, this is not something that's going to kind of come to you by osmosis. You definitely need to try to incorporate this as much as you can. I hope that that slide deck helped a bit. And there was another slide deck, which, like I said, is for you to personalize. So you maybe want to consider running that somewhere as a kiosk to help your Spanish-speaking patrons better understand some of the sections in the library that you have to offer, okay? Muchas gracias, adios, and please reach out to me. Jen will provide that for you. So, gracias. Okay, hasta luego.